I hereby call the Des Moines City Council Transportation Committee meeting for November 21st to order. And with that, the first agenda item is approval of the minutes from September 12th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All those favor, us, yes, that's approved. So what we are here to talk about today is the 223rd Street update mostly. So who's going to take the floor first?
Well, I will for a second. Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Tommy Owen, City Engineer. So Kai is going to give a little presentation for this project, so I will turn it over to him.
Perfect. Thanks, Tommy. Kyle, good evening. So for this presentation, we mainly just want to provide a quick summary on the planning and the 10% level of design for the 223rd Green Street project. So to get started, I would like to touch on the project, the background. So in the mid-1980s, the city conducted a downtown revitalization project planning, and that project highlighted the importance of the missing pedestrian connection between the downtown area and the waterfront. And that missing pedestrian connection and its associated economic development was studied again in the Marina District Enhancement Master Plan in 2008, and the Des Moines Comprehensive Plan and the Marina Master Plan in 2010. So with that vision, staff has been looking for different funding opportunities, and in May of 2022, the city was informed that a $300,000 grant from the Washington State Department of Commerce will be available for the project planning and the 10% preliminary design. And following with that, we received council approval in November of 2022 to contract it with KBG SOMAS to develop a 10% level study report that include, I would say, 4 key elements that we would like to brief the committee on today. So, I'm gonna pass this to Tyler Beakley to talk about the first element.
Yeah, thanks, Kai. Tyler Beakley, Surface Water Manager. I had the privilege of working on this project with transportation. As you see, this is the Green Street project. Green Street meaning there's a water quality element to it, at least at its origin. So Green Street is where you incorporate water quality design into the roadway section. And I worked with our consultant to look at the hydrology of the basin. So it's coming down to 23rd, going down the bluff, and then exiting into the marina. That's a 70-acre basin, and I believe that's in the packet outlining the entire basin. And we looked at how much of the runoff that's coming off these untreated roadways, untreated developments, could we pick up and clean before it hits the sound, before it hits the fish rearing beds, before the salmon go up the creek. They like to circle in the marina, so it's a key environmental biological habitat area we want to keep clean. So that's kind of an emphasis component of this project before I dive into it, and also a means of grant funding in the future. It's a nexus of funding for water quality dollars, salmon recovery dollars, et cetera. We can get pulled into the project to help with the design. So I worked with our consultant. We said, with the footprint of the project, we could treat 70 acres. And what that looks like, here's a blow up from what's in your packet. It's this purple, pass you 2 here, pass down. That's the north downtown section of our city here. And that's about, I believe it's 29 acres of the 70. So you get close to half of that we're able to treat within that small footprint of the 223rd project over that whole area. Now working with the consultant, they're proposing, at least at this phase, 10% bioretention swells, and that's what you see on the diagram there. So it's kind of between the roadway and the sidewalk, you get open green space. I do want to point out this isn't a creek, this isn't a river. There's not open water flowing through these. This is more saturation and cleaning up below the soil media that are in these. So you wouldn't necessarily see running water next to the sidewalk. They are 16 feet wide. The good news is there's a lot of open right-of-way on 223rd to fit these in. And then you need 300 feet total of bioretention area along the corridor. So you could put this in 50-foot chunks going down on, as you can kind of see in Kai's presentation later, how they place them in to the design, kind of segmented. I think that's what I had to share. Yeah, that covers it for the stormwater stuff.
Okay, perfect.
I've got a little, just real rough example. We've been on Pacific Avenue in Tacoma, very similar to what we did. This is the kind of the idea here with having a rain garden, bioswales at different areas. We spread it out more onto the corners to also be traffic patterning, but it's the same type of facility.
There's another place up in Seattle, and this is not an uncommon
No.
or an unusual thing. It's
20 years ago it was, but now it's.
Awesome. So the second key element that we were able to achieve from this study effort was the public engagement effort. And while we were working on through the 10% design and the planning phase of this project, it was made clear for us that it is a high priority to make sure that we are transparent with the public on whatever we propose for this project, and that it's very important to incorporate the public feedback on the key design elements. So in order to achieve that, we launched a citywide online survey. It was back in November of 2023, and we launched that for about a month, and we received a total of 79 responses. So on the handout that I provided, you're gonna see the three different conceptual theme that would provide to the public through the online survey that would kind of give people kind of the look and feel of the corridor. And so on the left side of the handout, on the first theme, which is the downtown arts and culture, is the illustration that, so this view is we're looking down to the water, and this is the entrance to the backstage alleyway. This is what I'm looking at, the hand sketch. So this is 223rd.
Yeah, just that brick wall you see right there, that's the All-Star
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah.
Before you get to 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you can see the angle on street, the parking, to kind of mimic the existing right now. Yeah, yeah, and the wide sidewalk together with the urban design, the element, and on the right side is the feature and the amenities that kind of go with this downtown arts and culture theme. The second theme, we'd go to the second page, is the Waterland city theme. So you can see it a little different in the hand sketch there, with some different design and art.
And this is the one that seems to be the favorite?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. And the third theme, I couldn't flip. Yeah, it's a contemporary Pacific Northwest theme. Yeah, it's a part of the survey too. We also ask people questions such as what's the important high priority for the publics that they would like us to incorporate into the design. And out of the 79 responses, most of the comments from the public focus on pedestrian safety, as well as the green element of the project. People really wanted us to highlight that. So, as the result, Council Matt Mahoney mentioned, the public selected the Waterland City as the theme for the corridor. So the result of that survey, we would we will definitely gonna use that at the foundation for the future, the final design theme for the corridor. The next key element from the study I would like to brief the committee on is the street, the layout. Corridor. So the first photo there you can see is the existing condition of the 223rd Street.
Makes it look so barren and ugly.
Well, the good thing is you can see we have a lot of available the right-of-way. We have 80 foot of right-of-way for this corridor.
Sorry, it's 80 feet?
Yeah. So 80 feet of right-of-way will be utilized like entirely for this like corridor with the main focus on pedestrian safety. So if you look at the second page, is the high-level layout, proposed layout for the project with the incorporated waterland city theme on it. It's kind of high level. You can see we incorporated some curvature like between the intersection. So that would kind of act as a subtle like traffic calming for the corridor, like instead of just a straight shot, like how the corridor is laid out like right now. And kind of walking down the corridor from the Marine View Drive, you're gonna see other key like features such as the raised intersection like crosswalk at 7th and 6th. So those are kind of highlight the improved pedestrian safety for the corridor, as well as like Tyler mentioned, the bioswale section gonna be separated like in chunks and kind of spread out throughout the entire like corridor on both sides, north and south of 223rd. Yeah. Yeah.
How does the water get from one section of the bioswale to the next section of the bioswale? Because it's got to run the whole length, as I understand it.
Yeah, they're able to basically set up a separate system from the roadway that interconnects the bioswales. They're able to take small chunks of water, let's say off 6th, and send it through one bioswale. Well, the other side of the street may tackle the water coming from 7th. So water doesn't need to flow all 300 feet and go zigzag back and forth across the road, but they're able to map it out so it can achieve the treatment.
Each pod is kind of an individual filter, and then it goes in the piping. So it comes from one filter will fill from that area, and it's built for a certain area. And as it goes through the filter drains, it goes into the storm system as a pipe. And so the different areas are collecting separately rather than being in series. They're really in parallel.
Oh, okay, yeah, I thought they were in series, so that makes all this makes much more sense. Thank you.
Yeah, on the next page, you're gonna see the cross section for the corridor. So out of the 80 feet right of way, only used for vehicles. The rest of that is gonna be the focus in creating a safe environment and corridor for the pedestrian and bicyclists. Yep, that's all I have for the street layout. Tyler, you wanna touch on the last element?
Yeah, and I'll jump in as you guys feel free, Tommy and Mike, but I'll cover next steps and where we're at, obviously, with this project. So we started out with this $300,000 Commerce grant to achieve 10% design. This is the presentation to the committee, is sort of the results of that effort. As the current project stands, it's in the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Plan, as project priority 15. So that sets it as a horizon date of 2031 to 2034, and as you know, that's sort of a moving target as we go through time. And projects are adjusted. So this project is essentially paused or shelved in this state. Staff, we are looking at opportunities for grants as they come up. Keep in mind that timeline of the project. There's other projects that have higher initiatives and higher priorities for staff right now. So I believe that's, where we're at is, as opportunities present themselves to apply for grants, we'll do that. And we'll see if we can continue advancing the design throughout time, and feel free to add on if you guys have anything else.
I'd just like to say that, the amount of right-of-way that's available here at this elevation, shooting down with views towards the water and a direct shot to Marina from Marine View Drive, which is a major, regional, transportation hub, it's a huge, just from an economic development and, future growth perspective, this is really a great opportunity. The fact that it's not developed, that it hasn't been, right-of-ways haven't been squeezed, that it's a direct connection, gets to the beach park, it gets to the connection area built to stairs down to the marina, connecting the marina. I think it's the opportunity for a future, really kind of an iconic design, connecting and as a pedestrian, not just a green street. I want to get away from saying it's a green street. It's a complete street, so that includes all the other elements other than just the water quality issues. It includes wider sidewalks, pedestrian-friendly amenities. All those different things will help make this as a nice connector between the downtown shops and the marina at some time in the future. So it's really good forward planning in my opinion.
I've got questions, but I'm gonna offer my colleagues first.
Yeah, you mentioned as grants become available, keep working on it on that 2031 to 2035, I think was the window that looks like. Now, how do we maintain momentum on this project between now and then, and does the staff have the capacity, if a grant were to come available in 6 months, to keep working on it?
So an example of that would be a grant we did not get to apply for this year, but we're keeping eyes on next year. We actually started putting together a grant for the actual detailed stormwater design based upon this. So we will continue to forward design through grants and then applying for other pieces, right? And so it's just a matter of trying to build. Right now, we don't have the coffers to build this.
Yeah, I understand.
But so going ahead and the more you forward the design forward, the more likely we could do this. And other projects like if the stairs come to fruition, and other issues and connectors for the public will make the grant score higher. So the opportunities might be better as we go forward.
Understanding we don't have the coffers,
No.
how do we keep some momentum
Yeah,
building towards this?
The next stage would be
Instead of-
stormwater design grants.
Mhm.
And so we've got the plan view here, then we go through and we start looking at what do these cells actually look like, getting that design behind us next.
Okay. Great.
Go ahead, Councilman Roxiger.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it looks very impressive. I'm wondering, though, this essentially is a connector between a couple of projects we've been working on. Of course, the marina access and the stairs, but also it goes back to when we rebuilt the north seawall with some anticipation that in case of an emergency, that stuff could come in by barge and, come up this way. And we've already done some work on 23rd to the east in order to go up to the fire station and have the connector on the new 24th Avenue. What effect, we're narrowing this to 24 feet with curves in it. What effect might this have on the efficiency of that emergency corridor?
I'll let Tommy, more of a traffic engineer, all the designs that we would be putting forth would meet the current design standards. So like if you've you'd still be able to, you may have limit other traffic. So if you're in an emergency situation where we have to bring boats in and barges in to get to the airport per se, right? Then you control other so you don't have to worry about mixing those traffics, right? So, but that have to be a lot of traffic, 2 lanes like this at full lane width would handle a lot. The road is built to handle fire and all those other requirements. If traffic became an issue, you'd be in the mode where you were, hey, this is a priority corridor for emergency management. We've had, the big quake, the 9/2, and so we need to maintain this and keep it open. We would stop other traffic in such a case so that it would not be interfering.
But you're saying that
The road is built for
the
it.
road would be built to?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I got a few questions. The first one is, it's more of a request and something you can talk over with the city manager, but we should rename the project to the Waterland Way project from 223rd. We gave it the honorary name, try to adopt it any way we can. So when I saw the table on the water flow, I noticed that just past Marine View Drive, that first block forward, so I guess west, right? So I was shocked not to see like the field house and some of that and some of those homes up there. From what my understanding had been, and I may have this wrong, there's quite a few springs up there and water flow that comes that could offer year-round flow, and I didn't see anything on that. I don't know if that's true, or you guys divert it to somewhere else, or it falls into an aquifer.
Yeah, so there's likely just some natural infiltration that happens, but the base flow in the summer is all but a trickle. If you look at the endpoint of what's coming out at the outfall in the summer, now as groundwater raises, as everything gets saturated, as there's more frequent storms, the base flow increases throughout the year. But they looked at it, and it is just almost next to nothing in the driest months.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
been given the impression, it was one of the reasons why we had the issues with the field house and some of the water there. I know you guys fixed that, right? But I thought there was a little bit more permanent water source, because I saw basically, we'd probably have something pretty good September when the rains start through like May.
Right.
But June, July, and August, we're gonna be sparse. Now, obviously, we've got these aquifers with plants and stuff, the filtration. How do we keep those plants thriving and alive in those wean months? I don't know, we need to conceptually talk about that, but
That's exactly what our consultant looks at, is there's a landscape planting plan, make sure they put in the right water tolerant plants, the right bioretention plants, and also it falls into the construction phasing for planting and the planting window. So
Okay.
all that goes through consideration.
It's a very,
there's enough to do it and not
not
changing plants.
built one of these before, it is a very complex, the balance, the subsurface, the soil type, moisture. There's a science to making these
Yeah.
rain gardens that's a little bit different, and there's been a lot of practice in this state in particular on how to get it right. And we have to replace probably less than 10% on Pacific Avenue every year.
Okay, so there is some replacement
Oh, yeah,
and
but
maintenance,
that's
but there's
just-
also, okay. So then, let's go into, so the other question I had before I get into funding, is the CIP being updated to accurately reflect this? I know this is recent news. I knew you guys had a pretty good swag, as I call it, scientific wild ass guess, for those that don't know what a swag is.
Yeah, this is reflected in the current CIP.
Okay, cool. So as far as, I thought they did a good job of grant sources and so forth. Would swim money be able to be used in this project?
Absolutely. So swim money could go towards not only grants, but the future maintenance, and like in Tacoma, that became a big issue, right? So future maintenance of, we had to actually negotiate with our unions. It's all one union here, so we won't have to do that. But, the rain guards became part of the stormwater fund instead of the street fund.
Okay.
And so things like that had to be negotiated through the union, because we moved them from streets maintenance to swim maintenance.
So there's opportunity
And-
to share
and
cost.
Share costs, and also the stormwater portions of this are definitely could be, so like, if we get a stormwater grant for $3 million for the rain gardens, and there's a 20% match, that could be a swim match, right? So you
Yeah.
can weave those monies together. There's certain things, swim can't pay for, the asphalt, et cetera.
So then I got a couple other ideas too. So swim money is a potential funder to, obviously, I think this is gonna be a lot of funds to put it together. Is there the possibility to also, because of what we're doing here, is designated as a park for additional opportunities for funding?
Yeah, our consultant did look at that as well, and sort of calling it a linear park was
Okay,
was
a
the
linear
framing
park.
they put it, and a lot of, you can even see in this drawing is they have a lot of bulb outs where there's little landings of mini parks and benches and tables and different sort of amenities. So that's something, you know, it's only a 10% conceptual level, but they've looked at that.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at it as a possibility, like the additional zoning helps with some of the qualifications for grants. I'm trying to figure out how we can help you. The last idea I have is, we're always talking about the port and the negative impacts in the airport and so forth. This seems like a project that we possibly might be able to engage the port for funding as compensation for the negative impacts. So it's obviously something that we'll bring up with the city manager, and you guys can too. I see her back there. So I just saw that as a potential. I see it as, you guys always do a great job getting the grants. I've seen, you know, the Safe Routes to School, all those kinds of things. And you'll be on this getting those. But it's like, that's why I ask the questions is, have we thought about these kind of things that we can designate or possibly pursue to get additional funding that maybe closes the gap, the gap on the funding and the time? Because the sooner we get this done, the better. I mean, I agree. I honestly don't want to wait till the end of this. I want to have it in the front part of it. So if we get the money, then we move forward, right? So, yeah, it's just some of the things I thought we could explore. Does anybody else have any other questions on this?
Well, if we use the park designation, then we can set up the speed cameras.
Yeah,
Fund it that way, but.
yeah, with those bumps though. If they're trying to jump, yeah.
Well, I'm being a
But,
little facetious.
no, I know, but there are some things like open spaces and like Midway and some other places, we were able to get funding when we're trying to design and develop open spaces versus, you know, other forms of park, and I kind of consider this, it might be linear, but it is open space, and,
Pedestrian connection to waterfront, things like that are
Yeah.
also other possibilities.
Relating back to the port and the emergency management piece, if something happens, then they want to make sure that that roadway is sufficient for them to
Yeah.
use, so, you know, there might be a funding source to help build up that roadway so it can handle the traffic if the emergency occurs.
that was a great other example of why one of my suggestions was because of the negative impacts and
Right.
and the emergency corridor. I think at least we've got something compelling, that would at least show this community that we're getting compensated for the negative impacts and the emergency, and also ensuring, you know, the better safety and of say, should a disaster occur and stuff like that. Anyway, I think, yeah, I was impressed with their work, read through so real quick, then the cost. So I saw the 30% contingency, right? Which I saw the 3.5% increase every year, which I got, but the 30% contingency, normally in textbook, you guys usually ask for 10. Why, what's the reasoning behind the 30%?
And that's really at this level of design.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just so it's, we're still so far to go.
Contingencies shrink as you get closer to the
Okay,
end.
okay, cause when I saw the price tag and the 30% contingency, I was like, oh, that's a little
So
steep.
At the 10% design, you want a contingency that large, and contingencies shrink as you get.
As you refine, okay,
There's a lot of unknowns on that. Right now, we just finished up, for instance, on the west end of this, we finished up some archaeology
Yeah,
for the stairs, right?
that was the
And-
drilling you guys were doing, right? Yeah.
And, you know, so we could end up with, you know, a contingency that could, you know, we could hit something further up that could be just as, causes delays or costs.
Yeah, a shell midden or something along those lines, okay. All right, any other questions? Councilmember Oxiger.
Is the foliage that's anticipated here in talking about grants from the port as far as canopy and that sort of thing, is the foliage here going to be deciduous or is it going to be conifers?
I don't
Yeah, I just don't know if we had that level of detail
We don't
yet.
have
One's
the-
extremely more efficient than the other.
Yeah,
But then there's also the accommodation of the different tree structures and all that stuff, so.
Yeah, we'll make sure to look at that with our like consultant as we further along the design.
Any more questions on the Waterland Way project?
I like it.
Seeing none. So now you got the CIP project updates. Tommy, you got it.
Yep. And again, I'm gonna turn this right back over to Kai again, because he's working on the first two projects on this list. Need that?
Thanks, Tommy. Yeah, the first project I want to provide committee an update on is the 24th Avenue South improvement project. So the project was resumed back in June of this year after the first round of like suspension of work due to PSC utility like conflicts. And as soon as we resumed like construction, we were notified by our contractor that there are more conflict that was identified with PSC gas line. And because of that, we try everything that we can to move forward with the project, but we ran into direct like conflict with those gas line and wasn't be able to continue the project. So the project had to go into another round of suspension of work. And the anticipated time for us, for contractor to get back to work is gonna be sometime in either mid February or early March of next year. And right now, while we are under suspension, the team has been looking at trying to make sure the roadway is stabilized and is safe for the pedestrian and especially with the school zone and the churches that we have along the project limit. And right now we are working with PSC team trying to recoup the delay costs from the contractor.
On both the first change and the second one with the gas?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. So per the franchise agreement, Councilmember, I sent a letter. The first stage of the franchise agreement is that the Public Works Director initiates negotiations with PSC at their level. So we've had that first initial meeting about a month ago, and we put forth the changes, which are substantial. They could be as high as, there's different numbers because we're still negotiating with the contractor, but it could be as high as 1.4 million in delay costs to get this project done, and PSC is still not done. And so we've let them know that. We've shared those costs with them, and they've gone back to take a look at when they can meet the schedule and what, so they haven't lawyered up yet, which is a good thing, because it's still at the engineers trying to figure this out. And so we'll see what they come back with. I think we're planning on a meeting second week. Is it second week in December?
Yeah.
Second week in December, and we're gonna have another meeting with them to see what it goes with. So the first meeting went well. They understood our concerns. They understood our reading of the franchise agreement. That I told them in very, very blunt words that we feel, the city of Des Moines feels, 100% of these delay costs belong to PSC. And that we're at the first level of negotiation. If we do need to go to litigation or arbitration or mediation, whatever we decide on, that we're willing to go there because these costs are yours. Yeah. And they understood that, and they said they were going back and they were going to talk to superiors, and so we'll see how it rolls out. As part of that, we also we're taking a look at the contractors first ask, because sometimes they're large too, right? And what our words to PSC is that we would take a look and have our consultants take a look and review what the consultants' first run at delay costs were to see if they made sense to us, right? Because now we're the middleman, right? Mm-hmm. Contractors don't want to speak to PSC, right? They don't have a contract with PSC. PSC doesn't want to speak to the contractor. So now PSC doesn't want to pay more. We don't want the contractor bilking PSC if they agree to it. So now we're kind of stuck in the middle negotiating this thing. So that's where I come in.
So understanding that, do you believe that we'll have this done by next school year?
That's the goal.
That is the
That's
goal.
that's your
Yeah.
goal, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're to hazard a guess, we think we can get it done
Yeah,
by,
Yeah.
That is our intent, and if you, one of the things we did when we stopped the project in this winter, right before school, was because it was getting messy right before the school year, right? So we patched up, we did some additional costs, we explained that to PSD also, where we were patching up the road so that we had access, had safe access for the children to get to school, and for the bus routes that had a smoother road. So we've done those, it's not ideal where we're at now, but we are moving forward, and by next school year, if it's not done, I think I'm gonna shake my head.
Yeah, one other thing I would like to add too is kind of lesson learned from, you know, finding out about those new like conflict from the second round of less expansion. Now that we are under less expansion again, we have time to kind of look ahead and trying to identify is there any other conflict at all that could, you know, put us into another less expansion. So we're working through that and trying to make sure when the contractor go back to work, it's going to be clear for them.
okay.
Just want to say it makes a lot of sense to use this time right now to avoid
That's what we're doing.
delays later. Identify the conflicts now, get them into the plan and get that done. I appreciate you seeing that,
Yeah.
the importance of that.
Traditionally, it has always been PSC. We notify PSC, they get their stuff done. We don't have to worry about that. But it hasn't been the case for this project.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Next item is for, oh, sorry.
We have another huge milestone coming up in this area, and that's the construction of the new Pacific Middle School. Is any of this going to cause conflict with their scheduling and the ability for them to complete their project on time?
I don't believe so, and we've had multiple conversations with the school district, coordinating with them. I think eventually they may become somewhat of a partner on our 24th project. I think that's kind of the hope, because they're required to do frontage improvements as part of their project as well. So we're coordinating with them, and I'm hopeful that there won't be any conflicts.
So if you say you hope that they may become a part of the project, so the 24th project will be ongoing while they are doing construction?
No.
No.
No, what the thought process is that we are already putting in infrastructure.
Right.
It's gonna be fairly new infrastructure. And in lieu of them replacing that pretty new infrastructure, they would pay us an in lieu fee, and they would build their project around the existing new infrastructure.
Yeah.
So that way they don't have to tear up new and spend even more, that they would be able to design around what our plans are, because it's brand new infrastructure, and we would accept that rather than improvements a construction of that size would normally bring to the city.
Thank you.
Awesome. So the next item is for the Redondo restroom replacement project. So the construction of the Redondo restroom is underway and everything is going well. Everything is on the schedule. We anticipate that project to be completed in March of next year.
Fantastic. Good news, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Councilman Roxiger.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, okay. Can we get some enlightenment on the arbors? Some of them are down.
Yeah, so one of the things we've done as an add to the project, council member, is those were pointed out to us after we bid the project that they were rotten. And so we were already replacing the connections between the boardwalk, the pier, and the concrete that's in the road all the way through to the restrooms, because the restrooms support all of the boat launch, the pier, the boardwalk, Wooten. So it's a centralized restroom for all those supports, and those needed to be replaced from just a safety standpoint, so we added them into the project.
And is that gonna, that will be within the time frame that we're
Yes.
allocating for this?
That is correct.
And they're going to, I understand they're going to look similar?
Yeah, so they will, the one that's different, which we're still working on some pricing on, is the curve on the corner. That one may just be refurbished because it's in much better shape than the other ones were, or it may be replaced. We're trying to get pricing on both and seeing. But the goal would be is that we have similar finishes when they're done, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on. So the 2024 ADA compliance program, this year we did some sidewalk grinding on 260th Street, and that is completed. The next one, the 2024 arterial street pavement preservation program. The overlay program is substantially complete. We still are going to, we anticipate doing a change order for some guardrail. Basically, when you raise the elevation of the roadway, the guardrail has to change as well. So we'll be working on that. College Way is substantially complete. Moving on to the Marina Steps. So the Marina Steps, we took in bids yesterday, and we are currently reviewing those bids. The North Hill Improvements Project, Kai's working on that. Right now doing the design and right-of-way acquisitions. Barnes Creek Trail, very similar timeline with the North Hill project. We're also working through design. That one's probably a little further along. We're getting closer to 90% design and ongoing right-of-way acquisitions. The 223rd Streets project, we'll change the name for you. And yeah, obviously we went over that. The citywide arterial traffic calming program. We are updating that program right now with a consultant. We never really had much of a formal program for traffic calming in the city, so we're really formalizing that, and then that will help when we get requests for speed humps or there's a speeding concern. So we'll have like a full scoring system. We'll have that on the website to be very transparent. And that will move us forward into considering locations for speed humps in the future. So we're looking at a pilot program which may include 5 or 6 speed humps throughout the city at our locations that need it the most. So that should be coming. These next few, basically looking at some of these programs for next year, just preliminarily, the ADA compliance program, guardrail, and street preservation program. The Redondo Fishing Pier, right now Kai is working on that. I don't know if you have any short update.
Yeah, so I've been working with with our like consultant, trying to looking at the scope and fee for redesigning like the pier. So that's where we're at with that like, project, and I anticipate to bring that task assignment forward for council approval soon.
So there's a little bit, just while we're talking about the pier, there's a little bit more to it. So it's not only the pier redesign, but the pier redesign was constrained by some of our environmental permits initially.
Yeah.
So, and that's what helped drive up the costs, right?
Exactly.
So we are also, as part of the redesign, also looking at what other mitigation or what other changes we can do to those permits so that we can get a more cost-effective solution. So it's
Yeah.
kind of, it's not just the pier itself, it's a little bit more than that, so.
Yeah,
and we're working through
understood,
that.
understood. Obviously, everybody wants the fishing pier, but
Mhm.
working through the permits especially.
Well, we
the
had the
environmental.
permits, so now we're gonna go back and we're trying to figure out if we need to amend some of them or what the different changes would be in order to make it a more affordable, construction.
And then it'll go out for bid again.
That's the goal, and
Yeah.
right now we're looking at probably the 27 fish window, which starts in 26, I think, right? 26, 27 fish window.
Okay. All right, keep going.
Okay.
Unless, I'm sorry,
Yep.
Councilman Rossiger.
So, one question with regard to the restroom replacement. That also includes the removal of the old restrooms, or are we gonna wait until the pier work is done on that?
Yeah, the existing like, restroom is going to be removed after we like completed the new like, restroom like, facility.
But it is
It's part of the
current
project.
It's not going with the,
Correct.
That is correct. Yeah.
and what is, looking at the footprint on that, is it, I mean, we're gonna have a delay, obviously, until we get to the pier. What is going to happen in there in the meantime to, keep people from?
Yeah, so we are going to extend the existing pedestrian handrail on the bulkhead to cover up that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're but there won't be any removal of, well, okay, the current one juts out.
Right,
Will they
it's
be,
over the air.
will they be removing the part that juts out over the water? Or are we gonna have a platform there until the?
Yeah, no, the entire restroom together with the platform, like the foundation of the restroom is going to be removed. So we're gonna remove everything back to the bulkhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Already touched on the steps, so large project support, Sound Transit. As I think I mentioned probably before, work is substantially complete on that. There are mitigation projects that we are involved with Sound Transit on at Kent Des Moines Road and 272nd on Pack Highway. Those projects will be in construction next year. 509, we continue to support WashDON on that project. I want to give an update on that in the historic 509 right-of-way. They've completed all the clearing and I believe most all of the planting within the historic right-of-way. They're working right now on irrigation, so they've really gone through that pretty quickly. The 216th Bridge, there's still obviously ongoing construction with the overall project, but two-way traffic was restored. And then the WashDOT SR 99 Pavement Preservation Program, that project should start really any day. They will not be doing paving likely until next spring. There's a lot of ADA sidewalk and curb ramp construction that they'll start. That'll be kind of the first thing that they do, and that will take them through into the early part of next year.
Just really quick, before you go any further. So typically, we would have ended at 4:50 because we were scheduled to start at 4, but we started a little later. So we're gonna extend it to, how about 2 minutes before 5? That gives a chance for transition.
Sounds good.
So you got 7 minutes.
Okay, so I will speed through this then, so we won't cover, we've gone over those projects for grant funding, so I wanted to hand this out. And just real quickly, kind of wanted to go over some of the projects, and highlight some of the projects we've done in Redondo over the last year. And this is really to an opportunity to kind of give kudos to our engineering staff as well as Public Works maintenance staff, is that we've spent a lot of hours on these projects throughout the last year. So as I mentioned before, the 2024 overlay project, that was really from 272nd all the way down to Redondo Beach. We spent about $700,000 on that, with still more to come with the guardrail. That was about 4,100 lineal feet. So there's a couple pictures of that one. On to the next page, we did the fire lane delineators just north of 281st on Redondo Beach Drive, and that's worked out, I think, great for the community.
They liked them last night at our meeting.
Yeah. Next one, this is a fairly recent one, the Wooten Park ADA access. So as you can see, we were able to work with a contractor that's doing a job on a different part of the city, and they were able to go in there quickly and do some asphalt work to provide some ADA parking spots, as well as extend the path along Redondo Way up to the crosswalk and then into the park. Next sheet, we've got a couple pictures of the ongoing construction of the restroom. And then the last page, a couple of pictures for the Park Zone speed enforcement cameras that it took, Kai knows, it took quite a while to get those set up and implemented, but yeah, they're working out well for us.
Fantastic. Did you have anything else?
I did have one more item, as it goes with the work plan. So real quickly, the work plan for this year shows TBD for the December meeting. So just wanted to ask the chair if there was anything in particular you'd like to see. I did want to note that in July, there was the draft WashDOT traffic signal services agreement. We're still waiting on that from WashDOT, otherwise I would have brought it forward by now. And then there is the red light camera enforcement study. We just have not had the resources to look into that at this time, and there's no glaring location for that.
You guys are busy. My take is you guys are busy. If you have those, let's have the meeting or any significant changes. If not, then I'd be okay with canceling.
Okay.
If we're not gonna move the needle, or there's no, you know, no pertinent information and nothing new, then, use your time somewhere else.
Okay, sounds good.
And like in the beginning of next year, we start reviewing with the work plan again, we can always interject other things that we feel should be added.
Just one question with regard to the speed enforcement cameras in Redondo. Is the study on that being done by legal, or is that something that engineering would be continuing to deal with?
Well, I believe there was a previous study of the five locations. And 2 were determined to basically generate the revenue. And so that's kind of where that stands currently.
But I mean, as far as a report on, you know, obviously, it is having a significant effect. I mean, we've made a lot of, there were a lot of fines early on, and I understand they are still quite substantial. But as far as being able to track the amount of revenue that's gonna be coming off of that project, I mean, are we expecting any kind of a study on the effectiveness and what we can expect in the future?
Yeah,
Is that something that would come out of here, would that come out of?
I think that's gonna be between police and finance, and we can work on that for you, council member, but I think generally speaking, what we've seen historically is you see a spike up, last, 12 months, 18 months, and you see a gradual fall in that. And so that's normally the procedures you see within the traffic camera studies. And so as that happens, maybe there's opportunities to look at, do we wanna, or is the speeding moving to different portions? What's going on? So we need to keep a track on that, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else, because I know we're running short on time. All right, with that,
Move to adjourn.
so moved, adjourned, thank you. Guys, strong work.